There is a famous poker player named Phil Ivey. Phil Ivey is widely considered the best poker player alive. He has won 11 World Series of poker bracelets. He has walked away from tables with millions of dollars in a single night. And the most terrifying thing about him isn't his skill with cards, it's his face. Phil Ivey sits at a table and gives absolutely nothing away. No tension, no excitement, no tells. His opponents, some of the best players in the world, have described sitting across from him as one of the most uncomfortable experiences of their lives. Not because he is aggressive, not because he is loud, but because he is completely unreadable. And here is the thing, Phil Ivey doesn't win because he has better cards. He wins because he has mastered the game on a level that most players don't even know exists. While everyone else is focused on their hand, he is playing the player. Now, what does this have to do with charisma? Everything. Because charisma, real charisma, the kind that makes people obsessed with you without knowing why, works exactly the same way. Most people are out here playing the wrong game. They are focused on what to say, how to look, what impression they are making. They are staring at their cards, but the charismatic person is playing the player. And today, I am going to give you the 4 core rules of that game. Not generic advice, not smile more or make eye contact. The actual mechanics that separate the Phil Iveys of social dynamics from everyone else at the table. But before we get into the rules, I want you to know your starting stack, because every great poker player knows their numbers before they sit down. I built a free charisma score test that shows you exactly where you stand right now, your strengths, your blind spots, and the specific areas that are costing you the most. It takes under 5 minutes and is completely free. The link is in the description. Take it before you keep watching. It will make everything that follows hit 10 times harder. Now let's dive in. Rule number 1, never play a hand you can't afford to lose. Every beginner poker player makes the same mistake. They fall in love with their hand before they even see the flop. They decide they're going to win before the game has even really started. And because they are emotionally attached to the outcome, they make desperate moves. They overbet. They telegraph their anxiety. And the experienced players at the table smell it immediately. The same thing happens in social dynamics, and it is the single biggest charisma killer I see. It's called outcome dependence, and you're probably doing it without knowing it. Outcome dependence is when your emotional state is tied to how a specific interaction goes. You walk into a conversation with a girl you like, and in the back of your mind, you have already decided that this interaction has to go well. You need her to laugh, you need her to be impressed, you need to win this hand, and the second that need enters the room, you have lost. Because she can feel it, everyone can feel it. Neediness has a frequency, and human beings are very sensitive receivers. The moment you need something from someone, your entire energy shifts, your voice gets slightly tighter, your reactions become slightly too big, your body leans in just a little too much. You look like a man who cannot afford to lose this hand. The fix is not to care less. That is fake, and people see through fake instantly. The fix is to actually have a full stack. In poker terms, when you have a lot of chips, you play loose and free because one lost hand doesn't define you. You can take risks, you can be playful, you can walk away from a bad deal without it destroying you. In social terms, this means building a life that is genuinely full. Real friendships, real goals, real things you care about, so that no single conversation, no single girl, no single interaction carries the weight of the world. When you have a full life, you play every hand with the relaxed confidence of someone who knows the night doesn't depend on this one moment. Stop playing hands you can't afford to lose. Build your stack first. Rule number 2, read the table, not just your hand. Here is something that separates amateur poker players from professionals in a single sentence. Amateurs are always thinking about their own cards. Professionals are always thinking about everyone else's. Most people in social situations are doing the same thing amateurs do at a poker table. They are in their own head. They are thinking about what to say next, how they sound, whether their joke landed, what impression they are making. They are staring at their hand. The charismatic person has already folded their ego and picked up a completely different skill, reading the table. Here is what reading the table actually looks like in practice. When you walk into a room or start a conversation, you stop asking, "How am I coming across?" And you start asking, "What does this person actually need right now?" Sometimes they need to laugh. Sometimes they need to feel heard. Sometimes they need to be challenged. Sometimes they are nervous and they need someone to slow the tempo down and make them feel safe. The answer is different every single time, but most people never even ask the question because they are too busy thinking about themselves. The practical tool here is what I call the 2-second scan. Before you say anything in a new interaction, take 2 seconds. Look at their eyes. Are they tired or alive? Look at their posture, open or closed off. Listen to their voice, fast and nervous or slow and relaxed. In 2 seconds, you have more information than most people collect in an entire conversation, and then you respond to them, not to the script in your head. This is why charismatic people feel so different to talk to. It's not that they say better things, it's that what they say actually fits. It lands because it was aimed. They saw the table before they played their hand. Rule number 3, the bluff is real. Use silence as a weapon. In poker, the bluff is one of the most powerful moves available, not because it involves lying, but because it creates uncertainty, and uncertainty gives you control. When Phil Ivey sits across from you and says nothing, does nothing, just looks at you with that completely neutral face, you start doing something dangerous. You start filling in the blanks, you start projecting, you start second-guessing yourself. You become so focused on trying to read him that you forget to think clearly about your own game. Silence works exactly the same way in social dynamics, and almost nobody uses it correctly. Most people are terrified of silence. They treat it like a mistake, something to fix, something to cover up as fast as possible. The second a conversation pauses, they panic and fill the gap with noise. So anyway, they are so afraid of the quiet that they hand over all their power just to kill it. The charismatic person does the opposite. They own the silence. When someone asks them a question, they don't rush to answer. They pause. They think. They let the silence sit there for 2, 3, 4 seconds, and then they speak. And because they made the room wait, the room listens. When someone says something disrespectful or tries to bait them into reacting, they don't react. They just look at the person, calmly, steadily, and they let the silence do the work. 9 times out of 10, the other person breaks first. They start backtracking, over-explaining, apologizing, all without you saying a single word. Here is why this works on a psychological level. We are wired to feel responsible for filling silence in social situations. It is an ancient social instinct. When you refuse to fill it, you are transferring that discomfort and that responsibility directly onto the other person. You are making them play your game instead of theirs. The man who controls the silence controls the room. Stop being afraid of the quiet. Start using it. Rule number 4, know when to flip the table. This is the rule that nobody talks about, and it might be the most important one. The best poker players in the world know something that casual players never figure out. Sometimes the most powerful move is to completely change the game being played. When the table is playing tight and conservative, they get unpredictable. When everyone is expecting aggression, they slow down. They don't just play the game better than everyone else, they rewrite the rules mid-hand and make everyone else scramble to catch up. In social dynamics, this is what I call the pattern interrupt, and it is one of the rarest, most powerful tools in the charisma game. Here is how it works. Every social interaction runs on a script. People expect certain things to happen in a certain order. You meet someone, you shake hands, you ask what they ask what you do, everyone nods politely, the conversation goes nowhere. That is the script, and most people follow it without question because following the script feels safe. But safe is forgettable. The pattern interrupt is when you deliberately break the script at the moment it feels most predictable. Someone asks, "How are you?" And instead of saying, "Good, you say, "Honestly, I am having the strangest day. A guy on the subway tried to give me a living fish." It doesn't matter if it's true. What matters is that you just shattered the loop. Their brain, which was on autopilot, suddenly snaps to attention because something unexpected happened, and unexpected things are interesting. You can do this in bigger ways too. In a group conversation where everyone is competing for airtime, be the one who suddenly asks a question instead of making a statement, and direct it at the quietest person in the room. In a flirty exchange where the other person is expecting you to chase, take a small step back and make them come to you. Whenever you feel the interaction falling into a predictable groove, flip the table. Not randomly, not for shock value, but deliberately, with a slight smile, like a player who just revealed a card no one saw coming. Unpredictability is not chaos, it is controlled surprise, and controlled surprise is one of the most magnetic qualities a person can have. The final hand. So here are your 4 core rules. Rule 1, never play a hand you can't afford to lose. Build your stack, build your life, so that no single interaction holds all your chips. Rule 2, read the table, not just your hand. Stop thinking about yourself and start asking what the person in front of you actually needs. Rule 3, use silence as a weapon. Own the pause. Let the room come to you. Rule 4, know when to flip the table. Break the script. Be the unpredictable one. Phil Ivey didn't become the best player in the world by getting better cards than everyone else. He became the best by understanding the game on a level most people don't even know exists. That is what charisma actually is. Not a personality trait, not something you are born with. It is a game, with rules, with mechanics, with a learnable skill set. And the fact that you are here, watching this, means you are already further along than you think. And if you want to go even deeper, feel free to check out the Charisma Code. This is our 10-module, step-by-step system that will turn you into the most magnetic version of yourself. The link is in the description. See you there.